Welcome to this week's episode of the Fort Johnson Podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects everyone living in our region, severe weather. From hurricanes and thunderstorms to tornadoes and flash floods, knowing what to do before, during, and after a storm can make all the difference. We'll break down the essentials of severe weather preparedness, share tips from the experts, and point you to resources available right here on post that can help keep you and your family safe. Stay with us. The conversation starts now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching our program, I am Jeff England from the Fort Johnson Public Affairs Office, and we are in the podcast studio. With me today, I've got three guests with me today. Mark Leslie from DPTMS. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Jeff.
And I've got Dusty Andrews. What's up?
Also from DPTMS. And, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever
you guys are watching. And next to me, I got Tommy Morris. How are you doing? The Emergencies Operations Manager.
I'm doing well today. Emergency Manager, also DPTMS.
Also, you guys all work in the walk, don't you?
The walk works for us.
Oh, I got you. I've actually been in the walk for a severe weather, and got to watch Leslie, Mark Leslie, Mr. Leslie. I got to actually see him in action doing what he does best, and I was so impressed. This guy knows what he's doing and is able to get the fort and to get the whole installation back up and running.
The installation has a great team. This installation really knows what it's doing when it comes to severe weather, mainly because we've had a lot of practice.
We've had hurricanes and tornadoes and floods and high winds and fires, and it's just like
you name it, we've had the full gamut. Aircraft crashes, you name it, we've had.
Yes, I remember that. When it comes to
crisis, this installation's had it, and they've done it fantastic. What I think really makes this installation unique is that when it comes, there's not different patches, there's not different units. This installation responds as a family, and when it comes to a crisis, everybody comes together, and that we all work for the community and for the one mission commander. It doesn't matter what patch you're wearing or what director or organization you work for. They all work for Fort Johnson, and we all come together and respond as a one entity to make this place safe and protect the community. So that's what really makes this place special.
Yeah, it's impressive to see how everything just comes together, and see how much background and practice and rehearsals and meetings and everything just to make sure everything runs that smooth.
Yeah.
And in cases of crisis, and I mean, it's like some things like the jet crash, that was out of the blue, something that we never expected since we fly helicopters around here.
Right.
But everybody came together for that one, and you guys do a great job. You really do.
I think talking about severe weather, I think the best way to open this up is to say, welcome to the state of Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
An operation group prepares for ever rotation like it's going to war. Well, the three of us and the rest of this installation, every June to November, we prepare like we're going to weather war, because we are weather war.
Yeah, weather war.
Because that's hurricane season. So we had a say it in combat. I can't tell you when it's going down or where it's going down, but I can promise you with 100% certainty it's going down.
Absolutely.
Sometime in the next few months, something's going to happen. But this installation will be prepared. So we haven't got the National Hurricane Center or the NOAA predictions yet for hurricane season. They'll get that out, and Dusty will go a little more into that. But we did get Colorado States, and so their prediction is slightly above normal hurricane season. And for the Gulf in 2025, and it's going to be basically a neutral season. Fort Johnson will typically see some level of impacts from 2 to 3 tropical storms per year. And that means, passing the 60 miles, high winds, turbulent conditions, low ceilings for aircraft, low to moderate rain, isolated, weak and short-lived tornadoes. But a tornado is only weak if you're not in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I hear about the F scale, the Fujimoto scale on the tornadoes, EF1 and EF2. It's not how powerful the tornado is, it's how much damage it's done.
That's right, and how long it stays, right? So Dusty will talk about that too. But so they're calling right now for 17 named storms, about 85 storm days, 9 hurricanes, 35 hurricane days, 4 major storms, and 9 major hurricane days. So that's the forecast right now. So we'll get a little more fidelity when the NOAA hurricane forecast comes out.
Now that sounds like a lot, but that's for the entire region, right?
Right.
Not just Louisiana.
Right. That's the entire region. So
Not the region, the entire Gulf, to include the East Coast and the.
Well,
Gulf
I call it
Coast.
that. I call that the region.
Well, yeah.
It's like we don't have to worry about Gulf or ones off of Baja California. They might send us a little bit of rain or humidity, but they usually don't mess with us. At least we tell them not to.
Yeah. So that's the overall forecast. I'll pass it over to Dusty to kind of talk the details.
Well, I want to add that even though that we're here and it's going to be hurricane season from June to November. Basically, weather happens in Louisiana and at Fort Johnson on any given day that ends in Y. And right now, we're coming into our 2 months of spring tornado season. But we also then our hurricane season starts. But then in September, October, we have a heightened increase. Our second window for tornadoes. And then let's not forget December through January is also another time where we actually do increase in tornadoes.
Makes us sound like we're selfish. We want all the tornado seasons around here.
We just let the Plain State have the tornadoes basically in June, July, August, maybe September. Starting in October, we're going to take them back. That's all I can say about that.
Don't worry, Kansas, we got this.
But yeah, we have that. Don't worry, Oklahoma, Kansas, we'll take some of the heat. But so, one of the things that we talk about, especially with the convergence of a heightened hurricane and our heightened tornado time, is that September-October time frame. Late August, September, October being the highest part of our hurricane season, but another window where we have tornadoes. So it's a time where people are coming back in, days are starting to get shorter. Kids were back in school, but it's time to be aware that things can happen during that time frame. May not be spending too much time outdoors, but have to keep a weather eye looking out for things.
And one of the things that make tornadoes especially dangerous here compared to out west is that we don't have the subsurface shelter capability here that they do out there, right? So, in our housing area, our houses aren't built like they are out there because we're not. This phenomenon to shift to the Dixie Belt, tornado belt, is within the past 10, 20 years or so, right? So conditions have changed. We're having some more tornadoes down here than have past 10, 20 years or so. So it makes it especially dangerous here.
Yeah, any kind of basements that we want to try to have around here turn into pools.
Right.
The other probably more critical factor is you're not going to see them coming like you would in the Plain State where you can see them. And they are generally on the front edge of some of the storms that we see coming from the west or southwest, so that they get obscured by the rain cloud or the rain shower, and radar doesn't see them until it gets a little bit close. And by then, your lead time is 5-10 minutes tops.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that, kind of segue, if you hear giant voice and you're outside, don't worry about listening for the message. Just seek shelter immediately, some type of shelter. Get somewhere where you're covered in safety. And if you're in housing, especially, even in housing off post, find some place away from the outer walls, away from glass, and something that would be covered with 4 interior doors. Get in your bathtub, get in a closet inside of a room. That is a smaller confined area where you're probably more likely to survive some kind of severe wind, tornadic, or hurricane damage.
Yeah, they say the ones that you can't see, the rain wrapped
Rain
what
wrap,
they
exactly.
use. And some of the most dangerous tornadoes that I've heard of are the ones at night because everyone's asleep.
Everyone's asleep. No one's outside. No one sees it coming. No one hears it. And it's difficult to hear things, especially you're not going to hear giant voice inside your home. No. We don't expect that. That's only if you're outside. That's to get inside. We have other means that we'll talk about here in a little bit. I just didn't want to get off track, but while we were right there and talked about the tornadoes, I wanted to say, if you're outside, you're enjoying your day, and all of a sudden you hear that thing go off, and it's not the second Tuesday of the month, most likely we're telling you to seek shelter immediately.
Yeah, it's like when the street lights used to come on when we were kids.
Yep.
It's like time to get in.
Time to get in.
Yeah, and if I can add with that, it's very important to know the difference between a warning and a watch when it comes to tornadoes, and the difference between the different sheltering in place. For tornadoes, you want to shelter down. Is everything that Dusty just got through explaining, interior rooms in the house is considered sheltering down, not in. You shelter in when there's a possibility you can be contaminated through your HVAC system. And you want to shelter up high as you can when it comes to any type of flooding situation.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be in the water.
Yeah, so it's three different levels of sheltering. So to know the difference between that and the difference between a watch and a warning is happening or it's happening or it's about to happen. A watch means the conditions are favorable for it to happen. Just like he explained, we're in the middle of the spring hurricane season. I mean, spring tornado season, which is going to lead into hurricane season. So it's more than likely when you hear it, it's happening.
Yeah, the way I like to look at it is it's the tornado watch, and I relate those to tacos. It's like we've got all the fixings for tacos. We got shells, we got meat, we got lettuce and cheese and tomatoes, and then that's a watch. It's a taco watch. It's a tornado watch, and then the tornado warning is we have tacos and we're eating them right now.
Right. Exactly.
That works for you, Jeff.
It works for me. It works for me. Honestly, I think it's a good idea.
Hopefully that'll work for some of our listeners.
Yeah, my wife always gets freaked out. I had to explain it to her properly that a watch is, the conditions may be right for it, but there's not a tornado currently, but they're watching for them. So, and then you also have to worry about any of your foreign friends, like from Europe or something, who don't understand what a tornado watch is because they might run out to look for the tornado. It's like, hey, it says tornado watch. Watch. Where do we go to watch it?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Well, when Dusty and the team from the Warrior Operations Center put out a all users message on that, and I think the PAO team does as well, when they put it on social media, we always define the difference between a watch and a warning. We started doing that because the community gets them confused, like you said.
Yeah.
We make sure we define that. So,
But a telltale sign is if we send something out, it's not a watch because we're not going to send that out. Generally, I expect the public to be aware that the conditions are ripe for something. But if we send something out via social media, all users, and the other means that we have, that means someone on the installation has seen a tornado or the conditions for a tornado within 6 nautical miles of us. So we're telling you to seek shelter, and that's the important part.
The other thing that I noticed is that the warning lasts a lot less time than a watch normally. Watches are like for hours and hours, whereas the warning is 15, 20 minutes.
Dusty, you mentioned you hit on it briefly, but I don't think we talked about it yet. The monthly test for
thank you, Mark. Generally speaking, the second Tuesday of every month at around 11 o'clock, we actually test the giant voice over the air so that everyone can hear it. That should be a little comfort signal for everyone to know that, yes, our system is working. But again, I want to emphasize, it's not meant for you to hear in buildings. It's not meant for you to hear in your housing area. If you're outside, that's just an audible alarm for people who are out and about that would not be near their television, their radios most likely, although with mobile devices, you're never far away from some type of...
we get those alerts on the phones and stuff. Yeah.
But we test the giant voice to make sure it's working, and that's during... hurricane. Actually, that's going to be every month now. We're not going to differentiate hurricane season or not. Every month we will test it second Tuesday of the month at around 11 o'clock.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm not paying attention and it's like I know that there's not a warning, but a test coming up, but I forget, and then I hear it, and I walk outside. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, it's a test. That's right. Nice, bright, sunny day.
Well, along with that, we're gonna post on social media. We're gonna post on all users, and we're more than likely gonna send out an alert message. So we're flexing all of our muscles to get the warning out. We did a good job using, or actually the PAO did a great job of using My Army Post application to warn people during a recent tornadic event that I'd like to say probably saved some lives, or at least saved some people from damage.
Yeah, we had some crazy tornadoes. One went from like here all the way out to Alexandria. It was like 50 miles. Come on.
And I'd like to, we're going to try to synchronize those monthly tests. That's a good time to play the excellent video that PAO made about educating the public on what the voice is actually saying, because people get really concerned they can't understand what the voice is saying. But that video you guys made that it tells people what it's saying, if we could sync the timing of that to play that video at the same time we're conducting the test, that would be great. So we're going to try to do that in the future so the public understands. But like Dusty said, it's not really important what the voice is saying. Just seek shelter when you hear that during an actual event, and then the all clear will come on afterwards.
Which also makes it very important to be registered in alerts along with MAPPA, to register your devices in alerts. It's a requirement to register in alerts at a minimum, cell phone number, address, and an email. If you're Category 1 personnel, that means you're a soldier, DOD civilian, or anyone that's part of the DOD that's considered Category 1. You must register those devices. It's a requirement. Category 2 is family members. Registering their devices also. Keep in mind now, sometimes you will receive the message more than once, 2 or 3 times after you have acknowledged it. It's because how you're registered in the system. Whatever device you register as your primary means of communications, we'll get alerted first. If you reply to that, more than likely you won't get all those other follow-on messages.
Oh, I get like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, so it's very important to register in alerts, along with all users will come out, so they already mentioned, and all social media that we have on the installation, you will receive the information. And I will also add that when our Giant Voice system, we have 12 towers across the installation. We have no gaps in coverage. We have a requirement to inform the entire public within 10 minutes of an incident, and we have no gaps in coverage. So you hear it, go inside, see what it's saying, register all your other devices, use MAPPA the whole 9 yards, and you will get the message.
That's cool. The as a matter of fact, those towers, if one goes off, do they all go off? Or if there's like a warning down on one area of the installation but not the other, will it?
We can set it up to do that way, but right now
if one goes off, they all
go off. And it's a 2-second delay between. So you got 9 on South Fort and 3 on North Fort. But if we need to just alert just North Fort, we can design the system to just notify people on North Fort.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah.
That's pretty handy.
Dusty, you want to cover the rest of the season? Really, we've got 11 months of weather.
Well, yes, I was going to say
quick,
that.
and then we'll switch over to Tommy and talk about personal
What
preparedness.
month do we not have weather?
That would be no month.
No month, gotcha.
No month.
That's still coming
that's
up.
the 13th month of the year. But I mean, we run the gamut. Like I said, we're moving into April, May being the first tornado window, the highest, if you will. Then we go June through November for hurricane season, but that's also would be a peak time if conditions persist like they did 3 years ago now, where we could have wildland fires and things of this nature, drought conditions. So we have that. We've also been experiencing a lot of wind days, and straight line winds can do just as much damage as a tornado. In fact, the recent tornado event that we had in February, the damage from the tornado was towards the North Fort area, but the straight line winds felt at Max Army Airfield were 70 miles an hour. They were near hurricane winds, sustained winds. So they actually did more damage than the tornado did because the tornado was in an unpopulated, urbanized area. It was in woods and our range area.
Yeah, I noticed some signs that were blown off buildings. And stuff
Absolutely,
like
and these were just straight line winds, had nothing to do with actually the tornado. So
That's crazy.
We experienced those, generally speaking, this time of year as well. But like I said, we were going through November through the hurricane season, but we have the second window for tornadoes, which is generally September, October, dies out in November, but November starts some of our rainiest period. It's the second rainiest month, along with April being the first or the primary rain month.
Yeah, you're not telling me nothing. My lawn will not dry out.
So there's just pick your poison of what you want. And then December, we run the gambit. Like I said, we start a second tornado window, but you have here recently, we started seeing more colder weather begin earlier in the winter season, if you will. Normally our cold month is February. It still is. It's still our coldest month, but we start seeing icing and winter conditions. And it's especially dangerous because, of course, in December, a large majority of the population leaves, and their house is left here. They turn off all their electricity, try to save some money, be good stewards of the government funds, but yet their houses aren't warm enough to sustain a prolonged cold snap below 32 degrees.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the insulation in the roofs around here, on or off post, to really well insulate our homes and protect our pipes.
Yeah, that's a shift we've seen. It used to be that we would experience our snow or ice in February, but the past 3 years, that was traditionally the month we always saw that. But the past 3 years or so, that's been happening in December. Habitually. So that's a shift to the left, over the past 3 years. The peak of hurricane season is September. That's our traditional month.
Kind of late in the season.
That's the peak
September,
for us.
October. It's the middle of it.
Middle.
Yeah, right.
Middle.
It's the middle. Late August through all the way through September and into October, the first few weeks of October. But yeah, that's our big time. Not saying they can't happen at other times. They have, and one of the biggest threats with the hurricane season is not necessarily a direct or even near direct hit from the hurricane, but the weather effects we feel from the outer bands and or the systems that it brings with it.
Yeah.
So we may not experience a hurricane here, but we're going to experience severe flooding like we did during Harvey, things of this nature, where we just had copious amounts of rain in a short amount of time. And hey, we are in the Bayou State. We are surrounded by low-lying areas. Fort Johnson is situated well. We are on the high ground, but we're surrounded, and the people that work here are surrounded by low ground, and it may affect our ability to get people back on the installation to try to get us back to normal, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on and let Tommy talk about what I think our listeners are really interested in, and talk about some personal preparedness, what they can do to be ready themselves.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we got to get prepared for all this stuff.
You got to be prepared. And Hurricane Preparedness Week is 1 through 7 May. 1 through 7 May, it's Hurricane Preparedness Week. And we'll be sending out information on how to prepare for hurricane season that entire week with a topic of discussion. One thing I want to do is determine your risk. That's one thing we'll be talking about, developing your evacuation plan and assembling your disaster supplies. Assembling your disaster supplies is everything that you need to survive from 3 to 5 days. FEMA recommend 3 days, but because we experience severe weather year round, I would like to go out to 7 days if you can for every family member in your household. Non-perishable foods, flashlights, batteries, some type of device that you can charge your cell phones, NOAA radio, crank radio, that you can do that. Think about your family members that have special needs, like someone that's in your care that may need a wheelchair. How are you going to transport that? Think about your pets also.
The other things that some people that don't even think about it, it's like people with CPAPs. They need power. They need power for that.
Same thing with oxygen machines. People that have to use oxygen. Think about those special needs personnel. All your important documents, make sure they're in a safe location, fireproof box that you can carry with you at any time. But when you talk about your supplies, you want to be able to sustain yourself and every family member just in case you don't know how long it'll be before you return back. All those things that you would need to do that, toiletry, non-perishable food, like I stated before, water for every personnel in your home. Also think about your medication. It's a good time to, as you're preparing, to get with your pharmacist, your doctor, and she can extend your medication. Normally, most medication is supplied every 90 days. You can get it extended, or anything you might need to do to make sure that you have the right amount of supplies on hand, the right medication on hand for an extended period of time. So we want to make sure you do those things and do an insurance checkup. Make sure your insurance policies and so forth is up to date. Make sure your flood insurance is all covered, the whole 9 yards with that. Have supplies and stuff to strengthen your home when you are away. And when you're away from your home, don't go back. Listen to the authorities. You may have down power lines and those things that will create more of a hazard if you return. So your disaster supplies can be found on FEMA.gov or ReadyArmy.gov, and everything that we publish pertaining to weather, we will have a QR code that links you to go straight to that site where you can see all the supplies that's needed to prepare your kit. And not only that, it's one thing to prepare a kit, but it's a different thing to practice it.
Yeah.
You need to practice. Everyone should have a role and responsibility, all the way down to the kids. Assigned responsibilities. Who's responsible for making sure a kit is updated? Who's responsible for making sure we have it in our vehicles and so forth? And another thing is a part of preparing your kit is to prepare your source of transportation. Make sure it's fueled up, at least 3/4 of a tank of fuel. And because you may be at this place, and know what your evacuation routes are going to be, where you're going to be, and how you're going to notify one another. A good plan is to have good communication plans. Everyone is aware of what your communication plan is. How we're going to evacuate, where we're going, who we need to notify, who we need to inform that where we'll be staying, and so forth. And not only you should know what your plan is, but your neighbors should know what your plan is. Yeah,
one of the things that some people forget is if they have portable generators, make sure that you have a stash of gas, because the gas stations aren't going to pump gas if there's no power.
Yep. And there's safety measures, and we will provide information pertaining to generator safety, throughout the severe weather season also, not to use them in enclosed area in garage, how far it should be away from a window or HVAC system and so forth. We'll talk about those things.
Yeah. I like to put mine right outside my kid's window. That way he doesn't get any kind of sleep.
Yeah, and Tommy will talk about this to FRGs and different forums throughout the year. He'll be in the PX and the commissary, and he always talks about this. But a couple things people don't think about, when we hit hurricane season or severe weather season, everybody buys bottled water, right? But you got to think about, use water for other things besides drinking. And if your power's off, your water probably is not going to work.
Especially if you have a well.
That's right. So, throughout the year, one of the things I do, I save all the water vessels from the Milo sweet tea I drink, and I fill that up so you can flush and you can wash dishes, and I put that in my little barn out back. So that you got to think out of the box a little bit when you're doing disaster preparedness and little survival tricks. Then ATMs aren't going to work. More than likely.
ATMs
so
have cash.
Got to have some cash. So put some cash aside and save it in your house so you can pay the guys that come cut the down trees, because they're not going to take ATM cards. They're going to take cash when you want them to cut you out of your house.
Never know. They might take Cash App.
They might take Cash App.
Don't use the cash that you're going to use to pay your renter's insurance, especially if you're on post.
That's right.
That renter's insurance is going to protect you, because we can't. So it's important to keep that insurance up. Like I said, have a little cash on hand, and include the kids. That's a great thing. Have them have their own little kit. Yeah. Get them started and make them understand. Because again, the kids are going to get the energy from their parents. And if the energy is bad from the parents, it's going to be bad with the kids. So.
Yeah, and if you do that, if you're prepared, like Tommy said, then maybe we'll cut down the mad rush to the shopette to buy every bit of gas, milk, bread, and propane.
Those lines
that happens every single time we do it. So, I've always got 2 cans of propane at my house. I've always keep my truck, at least 3/4 full of gas, and I've always got 5 cases of water. And like I said, those Milo tea jugs are always full in my little barn throughout the year. So.
It's funny you say that, and we talk about evacuation, but I want to take a brief second to talk about what we do to protect some of those people who are off post and may not be in the best of living conditions, or may not feel safe where they're at. And we don't keep these going at all times, but we do provide safe havens for the DA civilians, for the military, for the people that work on the installation that just maybe don't feel safe, or maybe they've had previous damage and they haven't had the chance to get it repaired. So we do provide them. It's not a know all end all. It's not a shelter, but we do find some place for them to weather out the storm while the storm is here, so they have to bring some supplies with them. Tommy might want to touch on that.
Yeah. Bring what you need for the duration of there, up to like 3 days, because that's not going to be provided for you. And if you have to shelter an animal somewhere, make sure the pet haven, you provide their own food and water for your animal. And the same thing for off the installation. If you have a soldier or service member that live off the installation that cannot make it to the installation for shelter, safe havens, then the parish have locations also that you can go to. Only thing you have to do is contact Pickering High School, and it will tell you where to go within the area in which you live. However, those shelters are not manned all the time. It will be published as to when they will be manned. They've been identified but not manned. So if the parish happen to man those, it'll be known to the installation, and we'll put the information out as to if you can't make it, where to go off the installation for a safe haven or to shelter also.
And the same thing will happen on post. If we do feel the need, and generally speaking, we will open those earlier rather than later so that people can plan. But we haven't pre-designated any place as yet, but we'll assign some places if we must on the installation, and we'll put that out through all social media, MAPA, however we can get it out to the public, we'll get that out to them.
As soon as we know, it'll be published through MAPA, chain of command, and all users. I mean, you're going to know we're going to mirror the parish information, and we're going to publish our information through all venues that we've got available. And so the public and the Fort Polk community, or the Fort Johnson community, is going to know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. And also with that, just know that if a safe haven or shelter is open, I'm talking off the installation right now, that there is no shelter that will receive exotic animals. Okay, and the animals that you do have, then you got to provide food and water for those. More likely, your animals will be sheltered at the Vernon Parish Fairgrounds. Same thing as you live in Beauregard Parish Fairgrounds, if it's open. But none of the shelters will receive exotic animals. And the shelter that's been identified by the Vernon Parish that would open if need be, none of those shelters will house any animal.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's good to know that. So,
well, I've got pets, so. Well, guys, I mean, this is a lot of information, and I appreciate everybody coming in and download the app, the MAPA app. It's My Army Post app. So.
One more thing, Jeff.
Okay, hurry up.
Yeah, all right.
Gosh.
So, hey, I want the community to know that this installation is prepared. So we briefed General on 7 May on the installation plan, and that's exactly what it is. It's a collaborative installation plan. So, DPTMS, Dusty, Tommy, and I, and the rest of the crew, we orchestrate this plan, but it's a collaborative plan where everybody on this installation participates and have a part in it. Every MSC, every directorate, staffer, every staff element has a part in this plan. And we received a lot of attention after Hurricanes Laura and Delta for how we were able to make that happen. And everybody in the Army wanted to have a look at how we did that, how we were able to recover and have this installation services restored in about 3 days after 2 back-to-back hurricanes. And so that is a testament to how hard this installation not only work, but work together to make that happen. So I think the community should have confidence that we're prepared, and really because we've practiced it a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got about 10 months. And you asked earlier, what month do we not have bad weather? Really, it's December. We have a pretty good December.
Well, that's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas. That's our Christmas gift, But take what you've learned today from Dusty and Tommy, and oh, by the way, this plan that we published is not a secret. So we're going to hang it on your website after it's approved. We'll hang it on the website. It's available to the public. They can check it out, and then they'll see Tommy, Dusty, and I around and during the severe weather season, and they can ask all the questions they want, and we'll provide them the information they would like.
Well, sweet. All right. Well, Mark Leslie, Dusty Andrews, Tommy Morris, I appreciate everybody coming in, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again, and come back and say how much of a non-disaster year we've had.
Yes, let's hope it's a non-event.
Yeah, really nice. But in the meantime, I'm Jeff England from the Fort Johnson Public Affairs Office. Please hit that subscribe notification, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment below. And be sure to come on back here. Doing this every Sunday night is our release date for our podcast. But in the meantime, we'll be sitting here and listening and watching at you later.
That was easy.